What if you received a signal from deep space that arrived on a perfect 16-day cycle? Never early, never late, not even by a single second? Imagine it pulses once every hour for 4 days straight, a relentless rhythmic knock from somewhere beyond our galaxy. Then silence. Complete, total silence. And then, exactly 16 days after it began, it returns again, right on schedule, as if something out there is keeping time. That is not how the universe is supposed to work. Natural phenomena in space are chaotic, unpredictable, governed by forces that do not wear watches. So when astronomers detected a signal doing exactly this, it stopped the scientific community cold. Today we are diving deep into Fast Radio Burst 1-80916, one of the most baffling and genuinely unsettling mysteries in the history of modern astronomy. So where did this mystery begin? In 2020, scientists using the CHIME telescope, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment nestled in British Columbia, Canada, made an announcement that quietly shook the astronomy world. They had been tracking something called a fast radio burst. If that term is new to you, here is what it means. A fast radio burst is an extraordinarily brief, blindingly intense flash of radio energy originating from somewhere deep in the cosmos. We are talking about pulses that last mere milliseconds, yet release more energy in that fraction of a second than our sun produces in an entire day. They scream across the universe and vanish almost instantly. That is what makes them so difficult to study. And that is exactly what makes what CHIME detected so profoundly different from anything astronomers had encountered before. Here is what makes this so extraordinary. Most fast radio bursts are cosmic one-hit wonders. They flash once, brilliantly, and then vanish without a trace, leaving scientists scrambling to analyze data from an event that will never repeat. There is no second look, no follow-up observation, no chance to confirm what you thought you detected. Just silence where something incredible briefly existed. For researchers, it is like trying to solve a murder with only a single blurry photograph and no body. Most fast radio bursts give science almost nothing to work with. But FRB 180916 was fundamentally different. It kept returning. Not randomly, not occasionally, but on a rhythm so consistent and mechanical in its precision that scientists initially questioned whether their instruments were malfunctioning. Something out there was keeping perfect time. What made FRB 180916 genuinely historic was not just that it repeated. It was that it repeated on a schedule. This was the first fast radio burst ever observed with a clear, measurable, predictable cycle. 16 days, every time, without deviation. Scientists were not prepared for that. The models did not account for it. The frameworks built over decades of astrophysical research had no comfortable shelf to place this on. Researchers described the discovery with words like baffling and unprecedented, and those are not words scientists use casually. The universe, in everything we had studied before, operated through chaos, probability, and entropy. It did not keep appointments. It did not follow a calendar. And yet here was something, 500 million light-years away, doing exactly that, over and over again, as if it had always known we would eventually be listening. So what could actually be causing this? Scientists have proposed several theories, and the leading one centers on something called a magnetar. A magnetar is essentially a neutron star, the collapsed, ultra-dense core left behind after a massive star dies. But magnetars are not ordinary neutron stars. They spin at extraordinary speeds and carry magnetic fields so powerful they would strip the iron from your blood from thousands of kilometers away. Some researchers believe that as a magnetar rotates, it periodically beams intense radio energy in our direction, like a cosmic lighthouse sweeping its beam across the universe. The rhythmic nature of FRB 180916, they argue, could reflect the geometry of that rotation, a natural but almost impossibly precise mechanism buried inside one of the most extreme objects the universe has ever produced. Another compelling explanation comes from the binary star system theory. Instead of a single spinning magnetar, imagine two stars locked in orbit around each other. One of them, likely a dense neutron star, produces the radio bursts. The other, a massive companion star, acts almost like a cosmic shutter. As the companion orbits, it periodically passes between the neutron star and Earth, blocking or scattering the signal entirely. Then, as it moves away, the bursts break through again, clean and strong. This orbital geometry would naturally create a repeating window of visibility, followed by a window of silence. Over one complete orbit, lasting roughly 16 days, the pattern resets. No exotic physics required, just two stars dancing around each other, accidentally creating what looks, from 500 million light-years away, like a deliberate rhythmic transmission. Here is where both theories start to crack under pressure. Scientists who have spent careers modeling magnetars and binary systems will tell you the same uncomfortable thing. The numbers do not quite work. Natural astrophysical phenomena are messy. Stars wobble. Magnetic fields fluctuate. Orbital mechanics introduce drift over time. But FRB 180916 does not wobble. It does not drift. It does not show the kind of variation you would expect from any known physical process operating across 500 million light-years of turbulent space. The 16-day cycle holds with a precision that feels almost engineered. Researchers have openly admitted in published papers that the signal's consistency exceeds what their models comfortably predict. The math, they say, should produce something noisier than this. And that gap between what the equations expect and what the universe is actually delivering is exactly where this mystery gets genuinely unsettling. But here is where the story takes a turn that even cautious scientists find difficult to dismiss. What if this is not natural at all? Not a conclusion, just a question the data quietly forces us to ask. Because when you lay out every known natural source against what FRB 180916 is doing, something does not add up. A rotating star cannot spin fast enough to produce bursts at this speed. A black hole does not behave with this kind of metronomic steadiness. Every model we reach for leaves a gap, a space between what the signal is doing and what our physics says should be possible. Researchers have not called it artificial, but they have admitted in published papers that current frameworks struggle to fully contain it. That gap has a name in science. It is called an open question, and this one is enormous. Now let us pause and feel the full weight of what we are actually talking about. 500 million light-years. That number is so large it loses meaning if we rush past it. So let us sit with it for a moment. Whatever is generating this signal, whether natural or otherwise, sent it outward into the universe 500 million years ago. Not 500 years ago, not 500,000, 500 million. At that moment on Earth, complex animal life was only just beginning to crawl into existence. Dinosaurs had not yet arrived. Humans were not even a whisper of a possibility. And yet, something out there was already pulsing, already broadcasting. We are not witnessing something happening now. We are receiving a message written in deep time, arriving at our doorstep 500 million years after it was sent. Think about what 500 million years actually means. That is longer than complex animal life has existed on Earth. If someone sent this signal deliberately, those senders are gone. Not gone like a civilization that collapsed centuries ago. Gone in the deepest possible sense. Every individual, every city, every planet they ever stood on, every star that warmed them, all of it has had 500 million years to burn out, explode, and scatter into cold dust. Entire civilizations could have risen and fallen in the time this signal spent traveling toward us. We would have no record of them, no ruins, no memory. Just this signal, still arriving, carrying whatever meaning it once held. We are not making contact with something out there. We are receiving a message from something that almost certainly no longer exists. We are, in a very real sense, listening to the dead. And here is what makes this truly unsettling. The signal is still arriving. Right now, as you watch this video, fresh pulses from FRB 180916 are washing over Earth. Not echoes of something that ended. Active, continuing transmissions, arriving on schedule, as they have for longer than human civilization has existed. Think about what that means. Whatever set this in motion did so 500 million years ago, before complex life had even taken its first steps on this planet. It has outlasted every extinction, every ice age, every rise and fall of every species that ever walked, swam, or flew. The dinosaurs came and went. Continents drifted apart. Oceans reshaped themselves. And through all of it, this signal kept pulsing, kept arriving, kept repeating. It has not slowed. It has not stopped. It just keeps coming. Sit with that for a moment. 500 million light years away, something is keeping time. Not approximately, not roughly, precisely. Whether this is the product of spinning stellar physics or something far more deliberate, the result is the same. The universe has handed us a signal that behaves like intention. It does not scatter randomly across the sky. It does not fade into noise. It arrives on a schedule, follows a pattern, and repeats with a consistency that our best natural models still struggle to fully account for. A clock we did not build, tracking time we did not measure, broadcasting on a frequency we only stumbled upon by accident. That is what FRB 180916 is. Not just a curiosity, not just a data point, something that forces us to ask what exactly is out there keeping count. And yet, for all the brilliance pointed at this signal, we still do not have a definitive answer. Science has not closed the book on fast radio burst 180916. Telescopes around the world continue logging its pulses. Research teams are actively stress testing every hypothesis against new incoming data. Some theories have already been revised once. Others have been quietly shelved. The 16-day cycle remains intact, unexplained, and stubbornly precise. What we are dealing with is a live mystery, not a historical curiosity. And that distinction matters enormously, because whatever conclusion eventually emerges from this investigation will not simply explain one strange signal. It will force us to rewrite something fundamental about how the universe operates, how energy moves across cosmic distances, and perhaps what kinds of structures the cosmos is truly capable of producing. So here is the question that matters most. Was FRB 180916 a signal or a glitch? And before you answer too quickly, consider what each possibility actually means. If it is a glitch, a quirk of magnetars or orbital geometry we have not fully mapped yet, then physics is richer and stranger than our textbooks admit. That alone is extraordinary. But if it is a signal, if something, somewhere, deliberately broadcast a structured pulse across 500 million light years on a 16-day clock, then everything changes. Every assumption about our place in the universe, every quiet belief that we might be alone, collapses in an instant. Both answers are enormous. Both answers matter. The data does not yet choose between them. But you can. What do you believe? So here is where we hand it over to you. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Natural phenomenon or something more. Vote, debate, and tell us what you believe. Because on a mystery this deep, every perspective matters. If this video made you feel the strange weight of the cosmos pressing down on you, hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed. Because we go to these places regularly. The edges of science, the borders of the explainable, the questions that keep physicists awake at 3 in the morning. The universe is not the cold, empty void we were taught to picture. It pulses. It repeats. It sends signals across 500 million light years and refuses to stop. Whatever FRB 180916 turns out to be, one thing is already certain. The cosmos is far stranger and perhaps far more alive than we ever dared to imagine.